Welcome to the Habits of Health Power Half Hour, where we go through Dr. A's Habits of Health one section at a time so that you can create a powerful knowledge base that will equip you for your journey into optimal health and lifelong well being. My name is Cassondra Reagan, and I am an independent Optavia coach. So, last week we began section 2.5 by breaking down exactly what the glycemic index is and what makes a food high glycemic or low glycemic. We gave examples of low, moderate, and high glycemic foods, and we discussed the factors that affect the glycemic index of foods. And finally, we discussed the importance of combining low GI foods with higher GI foods to reduce the overall glycemic impact of the meal upon our blood sugar levels. All of this together paints a powerful picture of just how important the quality of our food is and how that quality impacts our health. Today, we are focusing on how powerful food is to heal our body. Now, there is a criticism that circulates in health circles that says that the current diet advice does not teach people to distinguish between healthy and unhealthy choices. One group will make sugar the villain, and another group will say fat is the problem. Most programs don't discourage the consumption of red meats high in saturated fats or educate on the value of healthy oils. In fact, the pervasive thought in diet culture is that all carbs are equal. So they give the same value and classification to energy giving whole grains as they do to the energy robbing refined grains that are found in processed foods. Dr. A's plan, however, teaches you to replace processed foods with the healthy foods that have a powerful healing effect in your body. This is what his color coded food categories will help you do. Choose the best options for your health. Now, whether we're talking about vegetables and carbs, protein, or even healthy fat, you will learn that the dark green colors are the healthiest options. Light green colors are moderate and still a good option. Yellow means the selection is not the best option, though it can be considered a once in a while food. Red, however, means it is toxic and should be a not ever food. So let's look at an image as an example. These are the colors that we are going to be talking about and showing you throughout the rest of section 2.5. Notice that the very dark green colors, whether this is going to be talking about carbohydrates, protein, healthy fats, notice that the dark green color is best for weight loss and optimal health. If this is referring to carbs, it's going to be low glycemic. The light green colors are to be eaten in moderation, still a relatively good choice. The yellow color represents foods that are to be eaten rarely. And then you're going to see some red in the next section. And that's going to be toxic food choices to be avoided at all costs. So the toxic foods are usually highly addictive, highly glycemic, and highly inflammatory. Yes, there are foods that you as a person of health no longer partake of. And if you can surrender to that reality, you will be able to fully step into good health. Now, if you find yourself continually struggling with toxic foods, it's because you haven't made that mindset shift that is necessary. There are some not now foods, but there will be some foods that are never again foods. That is, if you truly want to have a full victory and be an overcomer in this part of your life. But again, it's a personal choice. You can choose to keep circling that same mountain, but just know that that same mountain you are circling now will be the same mountain you are circling 5 years from now if you don't choose to walk permanently away from those things that keep you stuck. Dr. A says to think about it as removing the kryptonite so your body is no longer exposed to toxins and negative metabolic switches, which are the foods that turn on detrimental metabolic processes in your body. Sugar, for example. Remember, if Superman continually put kryptonite in his body, he'd never be at his full potential, and over time, it would eventually kill him. So this healthy eating system is called nutritional intervention, and it's a more powerful medicine than any pharmaceutical. In fact, Dr. A says that in the 20 years that he spent prescribing medicines for diseases, he never once saw one of those medicines create radiant health. But over the last 17 years, we have seen that nutritional intervention not only miraculously reverses multiple unhealthy conditions in the body, but also mental and emotional and healing as well takes place. So, understanding how to choose foods for optimal health will be just as important as managing the total amount of calories. Remember, it's quality and quantity. And we know that when anyone in the world is exposed to our modern American diet, the result is always obesity, poor health, and disease. So, then what's the goal? Well, we want our choices to stay mostly in that green, which I showed you, which is the diametric opposite of where most foods fall in the modern American diet, or MAD, MAD. So, how do we walk away from what most of us have always known when it comes to food? Well, let's briefly touch on the evolution and background of the modern American diet for context. The Industrial Revolution changed food forever. Prior to this event, we ate a rather simple whole food diet of fruits and vegetables high in fiber and micronutrients. They were low in salt and sugar and essentially free of trans fats. However, 100 years ago, industrialization changed everything. Starvation was a major international crisis, and the food industry was asked to help eradicate this world issue. So they created cheap, readily available, and easy to store and ship food. We forgot to ask them to make it healthy though. So now there are more obese people in this world than there are those who are starving. So how did this all happen? It began with refined flour. Now, grains are actually full of fiber, full of vitamins and minerals, and antioxidants. And they consist of three parts: the bran or hull, the germ, and the endosperm. So whole grains and whole grain foods have all three parts, but this makes it have a very short shelf life. And that is kind of a problem when you're trying to bring food to the world. It must have a shelf life. So refined grains, however, leave only the endosperm, which is actually the least nutritious component, and it can be stored longer. The advancements in technology created the ability to change flour from being nutrient packed, but with a short shelf life, to a white powder that was highly digestible, high glycemic, remember. It was cheap, and it lasted a long time, but had almost no nutritional value. And that was just the beginning. Sugar follows a similar story. So originally, sugar found in beets and sugarcane, which in its pure form contains micronutrients, was costly and really difficult to purify. However, now we have refined sugar, which, like flour, is a white powder that lacks any real nutritional value. And since we're speaking of white powder, let's talk about what happens to a food product when it's reduced to this white powder state by quickly showcasing the coca plant in the Andes Mountains. The coca plant is consumed by millions of people in Latin America every day, and chewing this plant and drinking the tea is performed daily and is in fact super beneficial. But as you know, the coca leaf can be refined and turned from a healthy natural food into a dangerously addictive substance, cocaine. And this is exactly what has happened with whole grains and sugarcane. They have been transformed from a healthy food into a food product. Notice I didn't say food, food product with little nutritional value. So what once was beneficial now has become highly inflammatory and is a metabolic killer. So all three of these, coca, sugarcane, flour, they're all highly addictive. So let's look at another image. So here's an image with our brain on sugar, which is the left image, and our brain on cocaine, which is the right image. When subjects are placed in an fMRI machine, and these machines are designed to showcase areas of the brain activated after consuming sugar or foods made with refined flour, that subject's pleasure and reward center lights up like a Christmas tree. The hyperactive area, known as the nucleus accumbens, releases large amounts of dopamine, which creates a pleasurable feeling and leads to the desire for more. It is the identical response that occurs when subjects are given cocaine. So this addiction creates a pathologic feedback loop that makes the desire for more and more sugary and flour products almost unavoidable. Your body needs more and more sugar to mimic the pleasurable sensation in an addiction habit loop that becomes hard to break. In fact, look, the brain on sugar is lit up even more brightly than that brain on cocaine. How ironic that in their state, in their raw state, sugarcane and wheat are all healthy, yet when we process them into this white refined powder, they all become deadly. What's more, Modern wheat strains now contain the modified form of gliadin, which is a protein found in wheat gluten. It unleashes a feel good effect in the brain by morphing into a substance that crosses the blood brain barrier and binds onto the brain's opiate receptors. Gliadin is a very mind active compound that increases people's appetites. So, people on average eat more calories a day when eating wheat thanks to the appetite stimulating effects of gliadin. So, think of everything wheat is in: breads and buns, cereals, crackers, pizza dough, cookies, cakes, and ice cream cones. And then combine that with the addictive nature of refined sugar. Can you realize more and more how the food industry wants to enslave you so you keep coming back for more? Remember section 1.1 when we told you that it's not your fault that you're struggling. Listen, guys, it's not a conspiracy if it's true, and the food industry wants your money. But do not fear. That's why we are teaching you how to choose healthy foods and recognize the toxic, addictive foods, because we want to empower you to take control of your health and your life. So that is all for today, my friends. Next week, we continue section 2.5. And next time, we should finish up this section and discover what the green foods are that will heal your body versus the red toxic foods that you should avoid at all costs. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel and share this video with your friends who need greater health in their lives. Have a blessed week, and I'll see you next time.